Oh, okay, beautiful. So welcome everyone. This is the Revolution of Love, the Sunday night service. Thank you for tuning in. We pray that this will be a time of healing and respite, and also maybe some agitation into new ways of thinking and creating, being, and doing. Without further ado, I am going to turn it on over to Leslie D. Judd, who will be blessing us with her music and her sound. Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome. It's good to be back. Trying a different sound setup, so we're doing a lot of new things today. This song has been around a long time. In fact, it was written in 1953 when I was born, so that's kind of nice. And it's one of my mother's favorite songs, and in her state of accepting people how we are, as we are, she has Alzheimer's and she's in a joyous state. One thing she remembers, though, is the music. And she knows this song and remembers this song. And I grew up with this song, playing it on piano as she played it on organ. So let's see. I believe for every drop of rain that falls, a flower grows. I believe that somewhere in the darkest night, a candle glows. I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone will come to show the way. I believe. I believe. I believe above a storm, the smallest prayer will still be heard. I believe that someone in the great somewhere hears every word. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why I believe. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why I believe.
My goodness. Everybody, yes, I'm seeing all those like people clapping and sending you love, Leslie. Thank you so very much. That is absolutely stunning. And we give thanks for you. Yes. Everybody write in the chat. I'm seeing things coming into the chat right now. Wonderful. So again, if you are tuning in on Facebook, we send you love and blessings. This is the Revolution of Love Sunday night Zoom service. And we give thanks for everybody that has taken time to be here and to be present. My name is Reverend Felicia Helen Parazader. My pronouns are she, her, hers, they, them, theirs. And I am going to light the candle. So if you have a candle that you would like to light, please do so. And after that, I'm going to say a prayer of consecration to bless this time. And I will pray the way that I pray, recognizing that some of us may pray very differently. So first, the candle. And I actually have 2 candles. 2. Okay. And now, as we always like to do to better come into this time, even after being so blessed by Leslie through sound and word and space, we are going to take 3 deep breaths together. So let us breathe in through the nostrils, and then we will exhale out of the mouth. Okay. So breathing in through the nose right now, breathing in. And when you are ready, exhaling. Fully arriving to this time, into this space. Breathing in through the nose once again. And when you are ready, you can exhale. And you can even allow a smile to form on your lips if you are so moved. We don't have to be too serious here. No, let that joy come out. And so now we take the 3rd breath in, my friends, breathing in through the nostrils. And again, exhaling out. And asking a prayer of blessing upon each and every person as they are gathered here, whether it be on the Zoom or on Facebook or at a later date watching on YouTube. We know that these blessings extend far and wide. And so God, one with many names, you are love, you are joy incarnate, and we give thanks for your presence in our lives. We give thanks for all of the in-betweens. We give thanks for all of even the chaos and the confusion that we may not understand. Let us come into a place tonight, God. Let us come into a place tonight where we are able to sit with that which may be uncomfortable, recognizing that healing always happens, sometimes in those places even more. And so as we move through this service and through this vision statement where we come up against maybe some very hard ideals, things that seem beyond our reach, we know that you are with us. We know that your power is here with us. And so I ask that we are all present, that we are all as open as we can be in a way that feels good and in a way that feels safe. Do your wonder. God, do your wonder. Do your magic. Allow us to be better servants of you. And one more ask, actually, one more ask. I'm going to ask that we are all empowered tonight to take on new ways of creating change. That there is something that kicks in a new way, perhaps. And with that, I will step out of the way and just offer up this prayer, knowing that it has already been heard. Blessings upon those that may be feeling unwell, feeling ill in any way, feeling discomfort on any level, and healing now. And I release this person, and so it is. Amen, amin, ashe, and aho. Aho. And so I will now turn this over to Taylor X, who will be reading our acknowledgements as well as some other things. Taylor X. And Taylor, I don't know if you're on mute.
Hello, everybody. It's Taylor. My pronouns are he, him, and his. And I'm here to give you some really cool acknowledgements. Okay. First of all, we'd like to take a moment to reflect on the lands on which we reside. We are coming from many places, and we acknowledge the ancestral homelands and traditional territories of Indigenous people who have been here since time immemorial, to recognize that they are still here fighting for human rights, for lands and their culture. It is important to not only honor the legacy and lives of the original caretakers of this land, but to continue our solidarity with Native peoples across the Americas and across the globe. I am in beautiful North Hollywood, and I'd like to acknowledge the land of the Chumash, the Tongva, the Fernandinho, and the Nativism. Please take a moment to acknowledge the Indigenous people of the lands where you are located in the chat. Thank you so much. And I'd also like to acknowledge and honor the many paths and beliefs represented here. We honor all religions, philosophies, ideologies, belief systems, healing modalities, and spiritual perspectives. We honor the life experience and wisdom you brought here today. We respect you and welcome you into this brave space. But we emphatically state that disrespect, prejudice, discrimination of any kind has no place here. We empower one another through respect and strength to be true revolutionaries of love and justice. We see you, we hear you, and we love you. If you have a path, faith tradition, belief system, please share that in the chat so we can always get to know you a little bit better. Okay? And I'd like to thank everyone for sharing the memes for the service. We are growing with lovely people from all across the country and even some from around the globe. Again, feel free to copy the memes and share them at will. Okay, at roll, there is one thing we want everybody here and on Facebook to know. Now, I mean, really know this deep down to the marrow of your bones, that you are somebody. You are important. You are a big deal, and you matter. We want you to know that and live it. We see you, we hear you, and we love you. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Taylor X. Share them at will, share them at your whim, and share them at your leisure. And thank you for reminding us that we matter too, as well, Taylor X. So make sure let's see, is there someone not, I'm gonna have to mute someone there. Okay, so welcome again. This is the third time I'm welcoming. We give thanks for Manny Figueroa. He is actually away tonight, but so I am filling in as well as Taylor and Trevor White. So bear with us if there's some dips and turns and such. My name is Reverend Felicia Perez-Zader, and once again, my pronouns are she, her, hers, they, them, theirs, and I am grateful that we are all here on this Sunday night on November 7th, 2021. And I pray that this time is a time of healing for you. So sink deeply and dive deeply in the next hour and however many minutes. Just to remind us of what we are and who we are, I should say, we are a multi-path ministry. Taylor X was just reading that path acknowledgement. So we recognize here that Some of you may have a faith tradition that you follow and that is very specific to you. And some of you may not. You may be questioning. You may be more agnostic or spiritual or atheist or bordering on or anything that I may have not named. We are also a movement. So we do believe in abolition here. And we don't take it as a dream that is silly or utopian or too far reaching. We actually work for these things. We learn about them. We educate ourselves, and we're going to get a chance to do that tonight. We stand with Black Lives Matter, the movement for racial equity and racial justice. We offer ways that you can learn more about that movement, as well as learn more about how you can dismantle white supremacy and really learn about dismantling white supremacy culture and what that means. So there's resources on our Linktree, and Trevor White, or maybe it's Taylor X, will actually be reading some of those things for you to dive deeply. So we've been going since 2012, and here we are 9 years later. We're coming up on our anniversary, which is 12/12/12. So that's very exciting. And that's a little bit about who we are. Yes, it is. We're going to have our role blessing. And our role blessing is: we see you, we hear you, and we love you. And we're going to say this 3 times together. And who would like to lead us in that 3 times over role blessing? Anyone? Let's see.
I'll do it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rob.
Okay, ready, everyone? We see you. We hear you. We love you.
We love you.
We
see you. We hear you. We love you.
We love you.
We see you.
We
Hear you. We love you.
We love you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rob.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Rob. And I just want to highlight once again, for those of you that may not know, it is Robert Gross's birthday today. Yay! Happy birthday. So there just may be a little surprise at the end. I don't know, just saying there may be a surprise. Anyway, happy birthday, Rob. We do see you and hear you and love you, as well as everybody else here in the space. Okay, let's keep on moving. We're going to have our mission statement now, as well as our vision statement, and Trevor White will be reading those for us this evening.
Thank you, Rev. Hi, everyone. I'm Trevor White. I reside in Oregon. My pronouns are he, him, they, and them. And my word of blessing for y'all is harmony. Now I will read the mission statement. An inclusive, diverse global ministry and movement which emphasizes the intersection of inner work and outer work in the world for the purposes of healing and revolutionary change. Vision statement. The Revolution of Love is a global ministry and movement of spiritual renewal and outreach dedicated to healing, transformation, and action. It is a brave space, a place of inclusivity and diversity, where we celebrate our similarities and our differences. It is a vehicle for change, inspiring and motivating us to change ourselves and the world we live in. We embrace people where they are at religiously, spiritually, and welcome those who may be agnostic or atheists. At the Revolution of Love, we commit to our highest good. We transform through a heart and mind opening experience, and we claim our divine responsibility and honor to be change agents in the world. We do not enable, co-sign, or align with any system, structure, or policy of hatred, oppression, or violence. We create positive peace. We practice transformative justice. We bring equalized compassion and radical love, and we believe in God with all its names. We are the visionaries and the dreamers, architects of peace and justice, strategists creating a new world of what ought to be today. No matter who you are, what you look like, where you come from, who you love, we welcome you, we love you. The time is now. This is the revolution.
Yes. And Trevor, what time is it? So we're all crystal clear.
Now.
There it is. It is now. Isn't it now, my friends? It is now. Okay, beautiful. And thank you, Trevor, for that. And we will move back over to Taylor X, who's going to be reading our announcements for us. And then David Weiss will be also offering an announcement after Taylor. So Taylor X.
Hello, everybody. Taylor X again. And my word of blessing is humor. May everybody have some humor in them. Okay, these are announcements for the month of November. Please go to our Linktree for a one-stop shop to be informed of all the latest happenings here at the Revolution of Love. You can sign up for Reverend Felicia's midweek boost and service invite. Connect with the Roll Facebook group and learn of ways to be of service and get into action. Here's the Linktree once again. And again, here at the Revolution of Love, we are visionary about what changes look like. Between services, we ignite, educate, and engage ourselves that we bend the arc towards justice and abolition. So let's do it. Heads up, please note for the months of November and December, we will be having Sunday night services every other Sunday. So that Sunday, there will be no service next week. And the next one will be November 21st, same time, same link as always. And the next Roll community meeting is November 17th. Refer to our schedule posted on the Roll Facebook group or as it was sent out via email to mark your calendars. For those of you in Los Angeles, don't forget the next West Valley Block Party is November 20th. If you are in LA and would like to be a service and represent Roll, come table with us. We will be out there serving our unhoused family and connecting with other partnering organizations. See you then, November 20th, 1 to 3 p.m. in Chatsworth. So don't forget to go to Black Lives Matter and find the chapter near your city. White identified folks also look up a local chapter of Surge, Showing Up for Racial Justice. ShowingUpForRacialJustice.org. Surge always has events and calls to action. Go to their website, ShowingUpForRacialJustice.org, to register. Also, check out the work of CLUE, Clergy, Laity, Unity for Economic Justice, at cluejustice.org, and get to know the work of our partner, About My Father's Business, by going to their website, www.amfb.org. Roll is continuing to work with this organization, mobilizing for justice and sustainability. And thank you for being here tonight. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Take good care, and we will see you the week after next. Be blessed.
Thank you so much, Taylor X. Thank you for apprising us of all that is going on, all that Roll news. Yes. Okay. And David is going to let us know something that he did. And so, David, when you're ready.
All right. So I put a long post in the chat box as well. One part of dismantling white supremacy is addressing the ways that it was used to inflict horrendous harm on our Native American siblings. And I'm part of a land acknowledgement task force at my congregation that is crafting. So we're doing education now. It's going to culminate in crafting a land acknowledgement for us to use. And as part of the education, we had a letter signing event today at which we signed letters in support of, as you see in the chat box, the Truth and Healing Commission on Indian Boarding School Policies Act. It's been introduced in Congress right now, and they're looking for co-sponsors both in the Senate and in the House of Representatives. It would basically provide a truth and reconciliation process to undertake a full accounting of what happened and who has survived and what are the memories of the people who lived through the boarding school era. So you see there is a link at the top to the boardingschoolhealing.org, which is a Native American organization. And then there's a link in the middle that takes you to the Senate version of the bill where you could actually see whether your senator has signed on as a co-sponsor or not. From that link, you can also click on a tab called Related Bills, which will take you over to the House version. You can see if your House of Representatives has signed on. And then the last link is a link to, it's an email campaign site hosted by the United Church of Christ that lets you send an email to your senators and your House people based on your zip code. And even though it's hosted by the United Church of Christ, the text in the message is customizable. So you could actually adapt it to whatever your path is, Christian or otherwise, and use it as a way of sending a message to your representatives. At church this morning, we generated 36 signed, sealed, stamped letters to go in the mail tomorrow. And I would invite any of you to join us in doing that by email. So thanks, Rev.
Thank you, David. I love it. So can we all commit to doing that? Yes. Let's all commit to getting those letters out there. There's those 3 links that David easily put. We can easily follow that. And David, they're also in the Roll Facebook group, correct? So for everyone, if you don't get it here in this chat, then you can just go on over to the Roll Facebook group and follow those links and take action this way. Very important. Thank you so much, David, for your work and for your congregation's work on this. Okay, so let us take a breath. Let us take a breath before we move back over to receiving some music from Leslie. So breathing in and exhaling, or you could say relaxing. And let me tell you some more about Leslie, because it's very important for us to know who we are and know some about each other. So let me tell you some more about Leslie, even if you've heard about her or even know her. Okay, Leslie D. Oliver Judd has been composing since she was 12 years old. Her life is like any life, is complex, and her journey continues. Leslie is currently revitalizing her career as a composer and taking back her birth surname as part of her musical identity. Her birth father was an Air Force band and big band clarinetist and sax musician. Her mother an RN and talented pianist and church organist. All of her siblings are musical and creative. Who Leslie is at this moment is a combination of the past, present, and a dreamer's view of an intentional future. As a human being, she learns and grows from day to day based on whether she is creating or not. Leslie is persistent that change is a permanent word in her vocabulary. I like that. I like that. She states, if I am fortunate and aware, I continue to learn. Consciousness takes work, rest, and self-awareness, and then action to realize a dream or to be part of a change. What is important for you to know about Leslie is that she's here today and present, and the message you hear is meant to be interpreted and received as each individual requires. She believes music is healing and change-making. Music is the measure of a culture and its humanity. That what is also important is we are here now, a river of people taking another step and making choices. And now, Leslie.
This is an old 1977 song. I was inspired after reading the book An Unfinished Song by Victor Jara's wife. And this one came as a flow, and I've done this once before. I have a different view of it now. The legend goes that when he was taken into the arena and hundreds of other people in Chile by the junta, he stood up there and sang another protest song. And the legend says that they cut off his hands and then said, "Sing now, musician," or "Play now, musician." Actually, they didn't cut off his hands, they broke his hands. And he sang without his guitar. It's his voice that lived on through Violeta Parra, Inti Yamante, all the people in Chile who still struggle to have their voice and their freedom, especially in music, heard. And so this stuck with me, and I was at a very depressed state in my life, and I sat in a very small room in my mother's house, and I had just come back from Phoenix, and this is what came about. And I had no title until probably about 5 years ago, and it's entitled "Remember Vektahara." What would you do if you lost everything you own? What would you do if someone took away your soul? How could you stand? How could you fall? How could you be all that you wanted to be? What would you say if they took away your voice? What could you sing if they decided there'd be no more songs? What would you write in wisdom so those who've yet to be could live long, live long? How could they travel along? What could I hear if I listened to the silence? What could I hear if I listened to today? I'd hear that they'd never take away my soul. They'd never take away that voice. Not unless I take that from myself. Can only take things from myself.
Wow, Leslie, you're really bringing it here. You're really bringing it tonight. So yeah, let's everybody, I can see those hands going, see those heart reactions up. Please offer Leslie some love in the chat as well. Thank you. Thank you, Leslie. We do appreciate you so much. Okay, so now let us move and groove a little bit. Let us move and groove a little bit. I'm going to ask us all to take another breath. Let us breathe, please. As the Spirit continues to descend upon this time, we open ourselves and we avail ourselves to that which is truth and that which is beauty and that which is love. And it is in remembrance of this vision statement of role that we gather tonight and we rally. You see, the revolution of love it's been going for a long, long time, long before any of us were here. And so with that, my friends, we just hook on to a wing of this revolutionary of love work and play and vision. We just catch the wave. And tonight I ask God that you allow us to catch that wave that has been going on since time immemorial, that we may come back into that knowing of who we are, remembering that we are made, come on now, that we are made in your holy image, that we are made in the likeness of you. And when that is at the center, we recall, if it is true for us, then it is true for everyone on this planet. Amen. And so the remembrance and the acknowledgement of the first step of creating a revolution of love is actually coming back to our Imago Day. And catching that wave and saying, yes, I know that I am made in your holy image, that I am made in love, if it is better suited for some. And from that place, we are able to look without, from within to without and around, and say, yes, I do see you. I do hear you. I do love you. You are made. You are made. You are made in the image of God. It all should be so simple. And how does it get so messed up? If we all knew, if we all truly knew who we are and who we are to each other, how would things be different? The disconnections that cause compounded violence and oppression and hatred. At minimum, it would be greatly alleviated. At minimum, it all should be so simple then. And yet it is so terribly challenging, isn't it? And notwithstanding and not dismissing how the structures and the systems that are in place continue to hold violence and hatred in a culture that, as David mentioned, is full of white supremacy and colonialism. And so when we come into this revolution of love thing, when we read, or as Trevor read, the revolution of love vision statement, it's all very nice, isn't it? So we embrace people where they're at. You know, we're dedicated to justice. It's a brave space. And so why is this so challenging? We look around and we see over and over again replications of abuse and of cycles of violence ad nauseum. And so what can we do? One of the things that we can do is continue to work on any part of ourselves that holds prejudice and discrimination or any ism. It can start with us. And that's part of what we get to do here on Sunday nights. It's part of what we get to experience in a field that I would like to say is holy. This is a holy time that we get to be together and with each other and tell one another that we do see and hear and love you, one another, each other. And so we are in this last part of the vision statement, which says, no matter who you are, what you look like, where you come from, who you love, we welcome you, we love you. And so I'm going to ask you right now, I'm going to say it again, those lines, without we welcome you and we love you. And I'm going to ask you this. What does that mean to you? And when I ask you, just allow it to fall. Don't think too much about it. So let me say the lines and then I'm going to ask. No matter who you are, what you look like, where you come from, who you love. And what does that mean to you? And come off mute and please respond.
Well, may I?
Yes.
Well, it sounds an awful lot to me like love thy neighbor. I mean, I'm not from a particular religious tradition, but I mean, love thy neighbor, love thy poor neighbor, love thy unhoused neighbor, love thy black neighbor, thy white neighbor, thy gay neighbor, thy straight neighbor, whatever. I mean, it just sounds like a lot of that is bound up in a long-standing tradition of these simple words to love thy neighbor. That's where it lands with me for a start, anyway.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you. Others, no matter who you are, what you look like, where you come from, who you love, and what does that mean to you?
Hi, I'm Evie.
Hi.
She, hers, all my pronouns. And what it means to me is, first of all, everybody is included in those descriptions, no matter who you are, who you love, where you come from. And when I take that a step further, a little, maybe even radically, is that we also love people who hate. It's hard, but that's where the real challenge is and where our real work is. So that's what it means to me.
Thank you, Evie. Thank you. And I'm going to highlight too that this is all open for interpretation. As with most things that roll, this is this is open. This is open. I will leave that there. So no matter who you are, what you look like, where you come from, who you love, what does that mean to you?
Taylor X, what it means to me is that you are welcome here. And I don't mean that somebody tolerates who you love, where you come from, all that. Because tolerate is just barely one step away from hate. But I'm saying beyond acceptance, welcoming. That's what I believe love is welcoming. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Is there someone else that would like to say what this means to them before we move to the next question? So no matter who you are, what you look like, where you come from, and who you love.
I'd like to say something.
Yes, Kimberly.
To me, it's a matter of just total acceptance. No matter, even if we may disagree sometimes, there's still total acceptance of who I am, and I accept totally who you are. And that, to me, is what love is.
Thank you. Wonderful. And now, let's see. Okay, so now I'm going to ask, or I'm going to say it again, but this is a different question. So no matter who you are, what you look like, where you come from, who you love, this is different. We're going into a different zone now. How do you feel? How do you feel when you hear that? So this is a feeling. This is a feeling, a little bit different now. Drop down. So maybe those of you that have yet to answer, you can, yes, Nancy.
Unmute yourself.
There we go. Hi.
Hi.
It's good to be here. Well, both pieces that we're talking about here also bring me to, if we're talking about where we've come from and who we are, we're always evolving. And so it's also about accepting yourself. When you look at others and recognize that we all have this opportunity to grow in love and to be present in love and to be in the now, I'm learning all the time about who I'm becoming, and it is about becoming, and nothing is stagnant. So if we can not only love ourselves for now, but to love ourselves for the future, and to know that love is bigger than now, and bigger than ourselves, though it starts with ourselves. I think a lot of how we treat ourselves is how we treat others. And so I was thinking about how I feel about that with answering your question.
Thank you, Nancy. Beautiful. Others, how does it make you feel? Those lines of our vision statement. And I'm going to say, before someone else answers, remember that last week we just came from the lines, we are the visionaries and the dreamers, architects of peace and justice, strategists creating a new world of what ought to be today. So you can feel now, it's literally a different tone, isn't it? We are coming into like the final boarding stages, if you will, of this vision statement that is lifting off, going into the final piece here. So feel that as well. Note that, maybe even check it in a somatic way in your body. And so again, no matter who you are, what you look like, where you come from, who you love. And I see a hand up, David and Margaret.
Yeah, so it's Margaret's hand. There you go. What you just said leads right into what I wanted to share, which was, I feel that it's both, like I feel this deep in my bones, as Taylor X says all the time, that it's both a call to action. So how I act in the world, how I accept others, how I respond. And I also feel like it's a subversive resistance to like white supremacy, to all of the isms that are out there, that I can say this out loud, and that is a response to all of those isms and white supremacy, to claim that. And yeah, just to like really, again, in the marrow of my bones, as Taylor X likes to say. So that's how I feel. I feel it in my body. Yeah, and it propels me forward.
Thank you so much, Margaret. If I could have, that was almost like a plant. There was like a plant in the audience because and Trevor knows this because there are many slides with isms that we're going to look at now. So, but before we do that, is there anyone else that would like to speak to kind of this somatic, meaning things, how this lands in our body, how it lands in your body when you hear, no matter who you are, what you look like, where you come from, who you love, and how that maybe washes over you, and maybe there's a dissenting voice here, like that, I don't feel comfortable with it, or I don't like it. Let's hear that too. Let's just fill it out just a wee bit more.
Okay. It's more to me like it's a manifesting of those things, and I have doubts that we can make these changes. But I also then work on myself to remember why I believe that we can, and we have throughout history made changes. And we just have to be, I like that persistent change. I really like that from the song. But yeah, I sometimes feel like it's the impossible dream.
I thank you for that, Evie. And I just want to kind of check in. How many others of you, or who else, pardon me, also has that doubt? Hands raised. Really? You all feel like we're going to do this? Okay, I see another hand. Yeah. That's amazing. You're all a real hopeful. You all are real grounded in faith and conviction and dedication. Because I certainly have that. I just don't live there. I don't live there anymore. But sometimes I think, I said this to my folks today, I'm a hopeful realist. I could, even on some days I might say I'm a hopeful pessimist. But I don't believe we can't live there, can we? We have to keep moving forward regardless. David Weiss does a lot of work around the climate crisis and climate emergency, and that's real. I mean, who's to say what is going to happen here in a matter of how many years? And so to me, that's we're up against it, is my point. And does that mean we don't do this work? Does that mean we stop believing? Does that mean we throw this all out, like this whole vision statement, especially this part? So Evie, I thank you for bringing that piece in, because I think that all of us at times have had parts of ourselves that have really been in deep quandary, or a dark night of the soul even. And it's about being in community together and continuing sometimes to draw upon each other's faith and belief and love and conviction and dedication. Of course, if you believe in a Godhead, that too. So, okay, so let's move to, we're going to switch gears, and we're going to finish this evening out with something pretty different. And Trevor, if you would be able to share those slides that we went over earlier, starting with the no matter. Yeah. So go back to the no matter one. Yes, perfect. So, and actually the one down from that. Thank you. So I did this, and I'm not saying this is the best or most perfect way to break down this part of our vision statement, because we are certainly not the sum of our identities, or solely our social location, as it's sometimes called, or social location being our age or our gender or our racial identity, and so on. And The reason I'm getting so specific here, everybody, is because I feel if there's any vagueness about what we mean, that is dangerous, because we need to swing the door wide open and make sure that people know this is a brave space and that we are committed to actual inclusivity and diversity, that we are committed to these things and holding it down. So no matter who you are, I wrote underneath this, this could be referring to one's age or their gender or gender expression, gender fluidity, and also your ability. So I put those things, those identities under the no matter who you are. And as we continue to go through these slides, you'll see where I went with this. And so Trevor, if you could put the next slide. And so if someone wants to come off mute and read this, feel free.
I have it.
Thank you.
No matter what you look like, your age, size, looks, racial identity.
Thank you. And the next slide, please. And whoever would like to read this one.
I got it. No matter where you come from, your place of birth, status, class, religion.
Thank you. And the next slide, please. And a volunteer for this one as well.
No matter who you love. Oh, I'm sorry.
No matter who you love, your sexuality or orientation.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you. So all of these, and we can just stay on the screen share, Trevor. So these are some of the yeses. We're saying yes to folks from different communities, people that identify maybe very differently from you yourself. We're saying, come on in, and we're not doing anyone any favors. Like I believe it was Taylor X who said, this isn't tolerating. We're saying at the Revolution of Love, you are welcome. We love you, because of simply who you are. So in this specificity, I realized we have to also look at any of the parts of ourselves that may be unclear or unconscious, simply unaware of the opposite. The opposite, I'll simply say it like that. So there is a list of isms now that we are going to look at. And Trevor, if you could go ahead on the slides. So this list, I did not compose this list. This is the resources down at the bottom when we get there. But this is a list that actually points back to our vision statement. So you will see here ableism, and adultism and ageism are all on this slide. And I'm going to go ahead and I will read this slide. So the definition of ableism is systemic, and this is this particular person's definition. Systemic and systematic discrimination against older, abled, or disabled people. This one, I don't know if all of you will know this. Some of this is going to be very like, yes, I know, and some may be surprising. Adultism, systemic and systematic prejudice and discrimination against young people and children. Ageism, systemic and systematic discrimination against persons of an older age group. So as we're going through these, and you can hit the next slide, Trevor, see which ones that you may have experienced. And if you have, I should say before, if this is triggering in any way, please do take good care of yourself, and know that this is a brave space that you are in. So would someone be able to read this slide, please, with these definitions?
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you.
Anti-Semitism, systematic, and systematic prejudice and discrimination towards Jewish people. Alloism, systematic prejudice and discrimination against people who are asexual. Classism, systematic prejudice and discrimination based on social or economic class.
Thank you, Leslie. Okay, and the next slide, please.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Cisgenderism and transphobia, systemic and systematic discrimination against transgender people. Colorism and shadeism, a form of systemic and systematic prejudice or discrimination in which people are treated differently based on the social meanings attached to favoring lighter skin color, distinct from racism, but derived from white supremacy. Colonialism. In the U.S. context, this is a form of systemic and systematic prejudice and discrimination against indigenous people or Native Americans. Like other forms of oppression, it intersects with racism and other isms.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Rob. And the next slide, please. Can I get a volunteer for this one?
I can do this one.
Thank you.
Ethnocentrism, systemic and systematic prejudice or discrimination against people who do not speak English as a first language. Heterosexism, systemic and systematic prejudiced attitude or discriminatory practices against homosexuals and queer identified people. Jingoism, an extreme form of patriotism that often calls for violence toward people who were not born in the US.
Thank you, Margaret. And now, yes, thank you. And I'll read this one, and then there's going to be one more, and I'm going to add right now. These will all be posted in our Facebook group for you to look at and meditate on or really take in. So let me read this one. Looksism, systemic and systematic discrimination or prejudice based on a person's physical appearance, often based on the media's presentation and definition of beauty. Saneism, a form of systemic and systematic discrimination and oppression based on a diagnosis or the perception of someone having been diagnosed with a psychiatric condition. And last one on this slide, at least, nativism, the policy and attitude of protecting the interests of native-born or established inhabitants against those of immigrants. Next slide, and a volunteer, please.
I can do this one. Racism, systemic and systematic discrimination or prejudice based on race. The idea that whiteness is superior and therefore has the right to dominate another race or races. Religious imperialism, systemic and systematic prejudice or discrimination against people who practice religions other than Christianity. Sexism, systemic and systematic prejudice, stereotyping, or discrimination against women on the basis of gender. And sizeism, systemic and systematic prejudice or discrimination based on a person's size.
Thank you, David. Okay. So let's come off the slideshow for a moment, and we'll probably be going back, Trevor, just as an FYI. So some of those you may have experienced those if you're Jewish, depending on your sexuality, your orientation, depending on your gender. This is a fairly white dominant space. So those of us that look like me have not experienced racism, because there's no such thing as reverse racism, correct? I hope we're all very clear on that. The reason I believe this is very important to just go over, even if it's a repeat for some of you, is to be aware of some of the things that we are up against and any pockets of ourselves that hold one or more or many of those isms, even when we think we don't. Because I tell you, this work it's a constant journey, isn't it? For those of us that have been on the road for a while with it, it's a constant journey that is humbling, of realizing, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that I have adultism, or I have this, I have replicated that. So before, I don't think we're going to go into the homework piece. I think what I want to do to finish this out is to ask you to honestly look at those isms, to take an honest appraisal and inventory for where you in your life have personally committed such a thing, that where you have personally reenacted a system of oppression or violence, a personal example, as well as this. So first off that. And that is really the education piece. For those of you that might remember our role flowchart, part of what our Sunday nights are here for is to educate ourselves, is to consistently raise our awareness and our consciousness, yes? And part of that, under that healing bubble, and actually, Trevor, would you share the slideshow again and go down to the flow chart of role, so this way it makes a little more sense for folks? And there's a flow chart, just a couple there, one more, there it is. Perfect, thank you. So see everybody where it says healing and it's a green little circle. And it says education, spiritual work, emotional and psychological work. So just to highlight right now, this part, this is the education part that we are getting to dive into. The spiritual work comes in the form of these services. And here's a little wing to it now. Okay, so everybody take that in. And one more thing, sorry. The healing is so that we can shift, and that way we can integrate, and that way we can become change makers, or like I say a lot of times, change agents. Do you see how this is all connected? And do you see how much you actually get on a Sunday night? So, okay, off the thing now, off the slideshow. So one of the ways that I believe we can make ourselves more sturdy when we educate ourselves, and as we continue to, I'll say that because I know some of you have been doing it, like I said, for a very long time, is by remembering the first thing I said on the onset of this talk tonight, this time tonight, and that is to remember your Imago Day. This isn't to take away from the discomfort that this work should bring. Discomfort is a very important part of learning. I do believe that it is easier to see each other and to see one another as we truly are, and remember that we are connected when we are hooked in and plugged in to our Imago Day. And so this is why for so many years I have said, remember who you are. Remember who you are, and that you are made in the image of God, or for maybe better said, the image of love. And so really take this in. And so maybe when we say, or you say, no matter who you are, what you look like, where you come from, who you love, maybe that's your prayer. Maybe that's a prayer you need to hear for yourself. Maybe that is, in the style of Lectio Divina, an offering for your own self, so that you can continue to ready yourself for the work of change. Because if we stay in simply remembering who we are and our own Imago Dei, that isn't enough. We have to, as I just said at the beginning of this, we have to remember who people are to us. We have to see them in their totality. We have to recognize that somewhere in them, no matter maybe how occluded or how confused, that there is a part of them that is also made in that. See, that is the hope. That is the hope. That is some hope right there. That hope see, and this is what is present in Christianity, isn't it? Is the transfiguration. I like to say it's the transformation. We see this in the seasons. We see this as the seasons change. There is always this turn. There is always this possibility and this potentiality for anyone. So even the most desperate or disparate of figures or people that we meet, people that seem completely cut off from their Imago Dei, there is still some piece of hope there. It's a very tricky, fine line. It's a very tricky, fine line, because I don't believe we are supposed to hold space where we could get harmed, where we could waste time. We have work to do. We have work to do. And there are plenty of people, and the people right here, right now, you all, that right there is a conglomeration of folks that do believe. And even if, and most probably we have some ism within us that we need to integrate and heal. There is still the commitment, I believe, that you all have to that healing. So continue to educate. Those definitions are going to be posted in the Facebook group. I am going to do the homework thing. Here we go. Write this down. I'd like you to take 2 of the definitions, and I'd like you to research that thing, whether it's looksism or colonialism, and to add maybe to the definition, number 1. Number 2, to provide an example. And number 3, to look up an organization that is dealing with that ism. So I'm thinking we can do this in the Facebook group. Yeah, because we're running out of time. So we'll do this in the Facebook group. One of us is going to post on the worship team, and then everybody can take 2 of these things and research and add on to the definition. And number 2, provide an example. And number 3, provide a resource for us to engage this. That's the education part. The spiritual part is what? The spiritual part is remembering who you are and sinking deeply into that knowing. And that's just, I realize, a very cursory way of saying, look, there's a lot more that goes on. There's a lot more that goes on underneath that. It's about healing traumas, because the less we're healed in our traumas, and we've got the emotional body that needs that healing, it becomes hard to be resilient doing this work. So it will help you. It will help all of us to plug in to our Imago Dei, and then to never forget to always remember that. Even when it seems so challenging, remember that deep within somebody, that is within them. Don't tarry, don't get abused, don't get hurt in the sense of something nefarious. You can hold it, hold that space, and exit. No matter who you are, no matter what you look like, no matter where you come from, no matter who you love, We welcome you. We love you. Let's truly dig deep into what those lines mean. So it's not just lines, but we are truly living it, where it's a prayer and a charge. This is the Sunday night fireside talk tonight, as well as a class. And thank you for your engagement and your participation. And we will close this up now, saying amen together. Thank you. Let us have a prayer now, and please put your prayer requests in the chat. And if you need prayer, or if you know someone else needs prayer, or if it's something on a grander scale, please put those things in the chat. We will fall in right now. Okay, and so Holy One, we're so blessed to be coming together tonight in a community such as this, that is wrestling with isms and all of this gunk, and yet reckoning and knowing we have to, and turning things over and seeing what parts of ourselves truly must lean in, so that we may create a world that I don't want to say is more just, but actually just and safe, where there is equity, where there is true transformation. God, allow us to be at once agitated and also resourced and at peace, giving thanks for your presence here this evening, and knowing that you are working your love into these people right now. Your spirit resides. And so I will turn my attention now to the chat. And on behalf of Dr. Robert Gross, prayer request of healing for Trey, as his family, as they're wrestling with illness. Prayers for Trey and his family as they are wrestling with illness, yes. And prayer of healing for Mike, who has just left the hospital. And so we lift up these prayers for healing for Trey, for Mike and the family. Oh, okay. Thank you. And David and Margaret. Yes, for Michael Angelo Diaragio, I'm not sure how to say his name, forgive me, but he has been at our services. So we are not totally clear on all of the health issues that are happening for him, but there are many struggles on multiple fronts here. So prayers lifting him up for resilience and strength and healing right now. Absolutely. I also would like to lift up a prayer for my dear friend Hamu, who has COVID, and I have not heard back from him, and I am a bit concerned. So please, everybody, lift up a prayer for Hamu, who has been part of Revolution of Love services sometimes. And so we give, we ask for healing there, also for his daughter who has COVID too. And on behalf of Kimberly, please pray for healing of her physical and mental health. So Kimberly, everybody lift Kimberly up right now. So prayers of healing for her physical and mental health, asking for that healing to be to flow in right now into her body, into every cell, that there be nourishment, that there be real nourishment on a deep soul level. And also praying for Amanda as she is continuing her recovery journey. And so we pray for Amanda, asking for a moment of clarity for her, and that she remembers who she truly is in her Imago day. Yes, yes, amen to that. And other prayers, yes. So again, on behalf of David and Margaret, a prayer of love and support for Emily, who recently lost her husband, and Vince, the father. Okay, so Vince transitioned recently, the father of their 5 young kids. So please let us lift up this family, the Glasgows, and let us surround them in support May the needs of Emily and the children, may all needs be met right now. If there is anything that we can do, please let us know. And we will continue this way of prayer and peace and ease being sent in this moment. And on behalf of Robert Gross, a prayer of support for Donald, who recently lost his wife of 50 plus years. And so in this time of grief and mourning, we lift him up. And we, I for some reason want to say, thank you, the love that they've experienced. May he be reminded of that love. May that be a balm, a balm of Gilead for him in moments that are very sad during this time. Yes. Prayers for our unhoused community, our unhoused family. May they not be forgotten. May we work for them. May we come up with creative ways to eradicate poverty and all of the things that we need to do to create change in this way. Are there more prayers? Okay. I'd just like to add a prayer of healing. I said this at the top of our service, everybody, but prayers for healing for those that are facing physical challenges, those that are facing emotional illnesses, those that are facing maybe a spiritual crisis, a crisis of whether it's faith or ideology or philosophy. Also the moment that can be a dark night of the soul. And so imagine now drawing us close together and huddling together in prayer and saying, thank you, God, great spirit, great mystery. We are here together. And we may not always know what all of this means in this life, but we know that there is love here. And let us be steadfast in this love, and let us take it out tonight and bring it to everybody that we meet, so that the things we say in this vision statement, we not only say it, but we believe it, we mean it, and we bring it to our communities and to communities that maybe don't look like us or have the same identities as we do. Let us really live out our values as we continue to create change and do this holy work. And so we lift up these prayers, saying, and so it is. And the people said, Amen, Amen, Ashe, and Aho. And Leslie, when you are ready, please bless us. Thank you.
don't have a piano here, so there is something else. There's one more piece. And I think you all might know what this improvisation is. So happy birthday, Robert. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Robert. Happy birthday to you. That's where your voice, Margaret, would have come in handy too, and Nancy and everybody. Hope you have a good year, Robert. Bless you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Beautiful. Happy birthday, Rob. And blessings, everyone. Thank you so much, Leslie. Let's hear it for Leslie. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And thank you to the worship team. Trevor and Taylor X really stepped it up. We all kind of had to step it up. We miss you, Manny. If you see this recording, we miss you. And we'll be back on in 2 weeks, everybody. And if you feel moved and called to donate, you can go to the Linktree and you can donate that way. Thank you to those of you that donate every month and that are on that Revolution of Love love offering. And we appreciate you so much. So feel free now to come off mute and to be on the lookout in the Facebook group where those slides will be posted so you can engage. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
Justice.
Bye.
Happy birthday, Rob.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Say hi to
thank you.
Nancy.
Happy
Take care,
birthday.
everyone.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Great
Take
job,
care.
everyone. Great
Thank you.
service.
Thank you, Taylor and Trevor, for tonight too.
Yes.
Everybody.
Yes.
Thank
thanks
you,
for
Thanks
listening.
for
Thank you,
the
Leslie.
beautiful music,
Beautiful
Leslie.
music.
Thank you.
Leslie.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Yeah.
Just
Thank you,
And remember,
everybody.
everybody has a voice.
Thank
You all have a
you,
voice.
everybody.
yes.
I know.
Love you all.
Good night.
Love to you all. Take
right.
good care.
Night.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Night.
Bye.